Quick note, this video uses AI-assisted production, and the voice you're hearing is AI-supported too. The training guidance is built for real dog owners. If your dog barks at everything, the biggest mistake is treating every bark like the same problem. A dog warning at the window, begging in the kitchen, and panicking when left alone is not one behavior for one reason. So this video will sort barking by cause, then match the fix to your dog's emotional state. Because barking is not just noise. It is information about arousal, frustration, fear, habit, or expectation. And the goal is not a silent robot. The goal is a dog who can notice life, then settle. Start with one question. What happened right before the barking started? And what is your dog trying to change? A client once told me, "My dog Benny barks at literally everything." That felt true to her and exhausting. But when we slowed down and looked at context, Benny was actually doing several different kinds of barking. Today, focus on 4 common patterns: alert barking, boredom barking, demand barking, and anxiety barking. Alert barking usually says, "Something changed. I heard it, saw it, or noticed it first." Boredom barking is different. That dog often needs an outlet, stimulation, or help coming down from pent-up energy. Demand barking says, "Make something happen for me now." Food, play, attention, access, movement. And anxiety barking sounds different again. That dog is not pushing. That dog is struggling to feel safe. So don't guess from volume alone. Read timing, body language, trigger, and what happens right after. With alert barking, dogs are often upright, forward, watchful, and highly tuned to doors, windows, or hallway sounds. The common mistake is yelling "quiet" over and over. That often adds more noise and more arousal. First, reduce rehearsal. Block the window, use distance, soften sound exposure, and stop letting the trigger practice your dog. Then acknowledge, interrupt gently, and guide your dog away. "Thanks, let's go" works better than a verbal battle. When your dog turns back to you or gets to a mat, mark that choice and pay it. Think delivery truck. Your dog barks, you calmly call away, reward the turn, then reinforce 2 seconds of quiet. Progress does not mean zero sound overnight. It means faster recovery, fewer repeats, and easier disengagement. Now let's look at boredom barking. This one often shows up during predictable, low-structure parts of the day. A lot of evening barking is a needs problem, a frustration problem, or an over-arousal problem that never came down. The mistake here is correcting the noise without fixing the dog's day, routine, or lack of outlets. Start by meeting real needs first: sniffing, chewing, training, decompression walks, and breed-appropriate mental work. Then teach an off switch. After activity, guide your dog to a settle spot and reinforce calm breathing, stillness, and staying there. Predictable enrichment helps too. Short food puzzles, search games, and brief training blocks are better than random chaos. Picture a dog pacing at 6 p.m., barking into the yard. That may be less defiance and more leftover steam. And if the barking is aimed right at you to make you do something, that's demand barking, which we'll tackle next. Demand barking is aimed at you. The dog is trying to make food, play, movement, or attention happen. Dogs learn this fast because barking often works. One glance, one tossed toy, one bowl lowered can pay it. The mistake is paying the bark without meaning to. Attention, movement, access, or relief from the noise. Don't pay the barking itself. Wait for a brief pause, then move quickly into a calmer behavior you can reward. That calmer behavior might be a sit, a place, eye contact, or quiet waiting for 1 second, then 2. Better yet, build structure before the barking starts. Don't wait for dinner prep to turn into a daily argument. If your dog barks when you start dinner, send them to a mat first, give a food project, and pay staying there. Progress here means your dog starts offering calm faster, because calm, not barking, makes life move. Back to Benny. His 6 p.m. kitchen barking wasn't random. Family movement had been predicting food and interaction for months. Once we labeled that as demand barking, the plan got simple. Stop paying noise and start paying calm. Now, the fourth type matters a lot because anxious barking is not pushy barking. It's unsafe feeling barking. Anxiety barking happens when the dog does not feel safe enough, settled enough, or sure about what comes next. You may see pacing, scanning, panting, clinginess, or barking that keeps going because the nervous system stays high. This is the bark you do not want to punish. If the dog feels unsafe, correction usually adds more stress. Start by lowering intensity and making life more predictable. Safety first, then training. For departure anxiety, practice keys, shoes, and door movement in tiny reps without always leaving right away. Then use absences your dog can actually handle. Very short, very easy, and built up gradually over time. If your dog shows panic, severe distress, or true separation issues, bring in a qualified behavior pro and your vet. Think about the dog who starts vocalizing the second you grab keys, then shadows you room to room. Progress here means easier recovery, softer reactions to cues, and less time spent stuck in distress. So when barking happens in real life, use 4 quick questions instead of guessing from the sound alone. First, what happened right before the barking? A sound, a door, your movement, boredom, or a departure cue? Second, what does your dog's body look like? Forward and alert, restless and busy, pushy and focused on you, or uneasy? Third, what is the bark trying to do? Warn you, release energy, get something, or protest feeling unsafe? Fourth, what changes it fastest? More distance, a better outlet, your attention, or more safety and predictability? If it starts with a sound or movement and your dog locks onto it, think alert barking first. If it shows up in low structure times with restlessness and no good outlet, think boredom or frustration first. If the barking is aimed right at you and your dog wants action, access, or attention, think demand barking first. If the dog looks unsettled around departures, isolation, or scary cues and struggles to recover, think anxiety first. Once you can name the bark, the next step is seeing the mistakes that keep the whole pattern going. Even if you identify the barking correctly, a few common mistakes can still keep the whole pattern alive. Mistake number 1 is treating every bark like disobedience, instead of asking what function and feeling are underneath it. So when a dog is alert barking and the owner yells over it, the owner often becomes part of the alarm. Another common mistake is rewarding demand barking with attention, movement, access, or anything the dog wanted. A lot of owners also expect calm from dogs whose daily needs, routine, and recovery were never set up well. And punishing anxiety barking is a major mistake because it targets the noise while the dog still feels unsafe. Another mistake is waiting until barking explodes before you create structure, distance, or a replacement behavior. And if you train too close to the trigger, your dog may be too activated to learn much of anything. Most barking stays alive because the dog keeps rehearsing the old pattern, and the environment keeps paying it. So here's a simple 7-day reset that helps you stop guessing and start changing the right pattern. For the first 2 days, don't try to fix every bark. Just log what happens. Write down the time, the trigger, and what happened right before the barking started. Also note body language and what changes the barking fastest: distance, attention, an outlet, or safety. Then pick just 1 or 2 barking patterns to work on first. Don't try to fix all 4 at once. Step 1 is reduce rehearsal, because every repeated barking loop makes the next one easier. Step 2 is improve daily rhythm. Enough sniffing, enough rest, enough mental work, and cleaner transitions into calm. Step 3 is teach 1 replacement behavior that fits the pattern: mat, check-in, settle, or quiet waiting. Keep the reps small enough to win. Easy success teaches more than hard failure repeated all week. Measure recovery, not perfection. Shorter barking, softer starts, faster disengagement, and calmer body language. A real reset might look like this: log for 2 days, block the window, add a sniff walk, and reward mat behavior. Once Benny's owner stopped saying he barked at everything, the whole problem started getting much easier to read. His hallway and window barking got shorter because she interrupted earlier and reinforced disengagement instead of panic. His kitchen barking stopped once calm behavior, not noise, started making dinner and attention happen. And his leaving time barking improved when she stopped treating it like defiance and started building safety around departures. Progress got clearer because she was no longer fighting one giant barking problem. She was solving specific patterns. That's the big takeaway. Your dog may not have one barking problem. Your dog may have several barking patterns. So next time barking starts, don't ask, "How do I stop this?" Ask, "What kind of bark is this?" Alert means something changed. Boredom means I need an outlet. Demand means make it happen. Anxiety means I don't feel safe. When you match the fix to the feeling and function, barking gets simpler, kinder, and more effective to change. Let's close with the fastest checklist to remember when barking happens in real life. First, ask what started it. Then read the body, the goal, and what helps your dog recover fastest. Sound and lock-on usually means alert. Restless, low-structure barking points to boredom. Barking at you points to demand. If the dog looks unsettled and can't recover, think anxiety. Then match the fix to the feeling, not just the noise. If this helped, start by labeling just one barking pattern in your dog this week and work on that first. And if barking is tied to panic, severe distress, or safety concerns, bring in a qualified behavior professional and your vet. The better you read the bark, the easier it gets to change. See you in the next lesson.